Dark Knight Rises and The Avengers. Two of the biggest movies this summer and a great example of the competition that DC and Marvel have been waging since the 1960s. Which is better? Regardless of DC or Marvel loyalty, that's the question we want you to answer across 4 categories. The stories, action sequences, sex appeal, and villains of each film will be analyzed, and we want to know what you think. After we go over each category, we want you to vote with your view. You can jump at any time to the voting page of your choice below, but we recommend that you hear us out. First, let's go over why the story of each stood out in its own way. Here's James Vejvoda, who will be representing The Dark Knight Rises in this debate.
Batman's been retired for 8 years when he must put the cape and cowl back on to stop Bane from destroying Gotham City. But the Dark Knight's going to need help from Catwoman and the police if he's got any chance of winning. How far Bruce Wayne is willing to go to save his city and rebuild his own life makes The Dark Knight Rises a powerful and poignant conclusion to Christopher Nolan's Batman saga.
Yes, The Dark Knight may conclude the saga told by Nolan, but let's not forget about the Avengers story. Here's what Scott Colera, the representative for the Avengers film, had to say.
In the Avengers, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, the Hulk, and S.H.I.E.L.D. must join together for the first time to battle the most dangerous foe any of them have ever encountered, an alien army led by the immortal Loki. But perhaps the greatest challenge for this newly formed team is how the superheroes can overcome their own differences and their super egos on their way to becoming Earth's mightiest heroes.
We don't want to spoil too much about each story, so that's all we're going to say on the matter. But regardless, this is about what you think. Which film do you feel told the best story? Cast your vote now. The action. There's no doubt that each of these movies had amazing sequences that excited and enthralled audiences everywhere, but which had you just a little bit closer to the edge of your seat? Here's Scott with his take on what made The Avengers stand out.
The Avengers is a film that fulfills almost every dream action scene that a comic book fan could hope for. When Thor faces Iron Man, it's magic versus technology, and only the likes of Captain America can break up that fight. Hulk battling Thor is the comics fight scene to top all comics fight scenes. And Black Widow versus Hawkeye? Check. And those are just the good guys in action against each other. Then there's the protracted final act of the film, pitting the Avengers against an entire army of aliens. All superhero movies from now on will have to stand up to this amazing display of climactic action.
Now let's take a look at The Dark Knight Rises. The film no doubt had its own set of moments that amazed, but let's hear what James thought stood out the most about the film's action-packed moments.
With his trusty Bat-Pod and his new aerial combat vehicle, the Bat, Batman takes to the streets and skies of Gotham in true action style during The Dark Knight Rises. Thanks to his fights with Bane, some cool chase scenes, an epic street battle between thousands of cops and criminals, and the last half hour that's all-out war in the streets of Gotham, The Dark Knight Rises is the biggest and most bruising Batman movie ever.
And now we want to know what you think had the best action moments. Regardless of what we pointed out, did the Avengers steal the show, or were the moments Batman and company experienced just a little more exciting? Cast your vote now. Sex appeal. This category is dedicated to the leading ladies of each movie. Do you like the seductive nature of Natasha Romanoff, aka the Black Widow, or is it the professional thief Selina Kyle, aka Catwoman, that's the most provocative? Here's what James had to say about The Dark Knight's favorite cat burglar.
Anne Hathaway damn near steals the show as the feline fatale Selina Kyle, a sleek and sexy cat burglar whose bad girl ways just might hide a heart of gold. Is she a hero or a villain? Even Catwoman herself doesn't quite know, and it's watching her find her way in her unfolding relationship with Batman that gives The Dark Knight Rises a sensuality and sense of humor its predecessors lacked.
Let's talk about the Black Widow now. Of course, Natasha Romanoff has plenty of sensuousness around every curve, but she also has plenty of other assets that bear mentioning. Here's what Scott had to say about this deadly assassin.
Scarlett Johansson brings to Black Widow the casual inscrutability of a spy, the kick-assness of a hero, and the sex appeal that is absolutely required of someone with a name like Natasha Romanoff. Ably assisted by writer-director Joss Whedon, who has a history of creating strong, sexy female characters, Johansson doesn't just fill that black suit well, she can also give even the mightiest of heroes and villains a run for their money. Just ask Loki.
That's what we had to say about the two female leads, but this is about you deciding who you believe brings more sex appeal to their individual franchises. Cast your vote now. The villains. Our final category pits Bane, the muscle-bound breaker of bats, up against Loki, the Norse god of mischief and lies. Here's Scott with what he took away from the performance given by Thor's stepbrother.
Loki is such a great villain that the Avengers is actually his second appearance after Thor. And the reason Tom Hiddleston is so effective as the outcast Asgardian god? It's that we all know he's really just a hurt, wounded son and brother, still grasping with the revelation that everything he once believed about his life was actually a lie. Powerful, cunning, funny, and deep down, quite simply a guy looking for acceptance. We can almost get behind Loki's attempted conquest of Earth. Almost.
And of course, we didn't forget Bane's attempted conquest. In The Dark Knight Rises, he gave Batman and Gotham a lot of trouble and delivered all of his lines from behind a creepy metallic mask. Here's what James had to say about the main villain from the latest Batman film.
Bane, born and raised in Hell on Earth, is the only man who ever broke the bat. It was an unenviable task for any actor to have to follow Heath Ledger's Joker, but Tom Hardy's masked and kind of mumbling mercenary gives it more than the old college tried. Bane takes all of Gotham City hostage, offering them chaos and liberation in equal measure, even as he plots the city's destruction. Oh yeah, and he's got some pretty badass fight moves too.
Again, we come to the moment of truth. We want to know if you thought Loki or Bane was the best villain. Cast your vote now. That is it for this episode of Versus, pitting DC's latest hit, The Dark Knight Rises, against the Marvel Comics blockbuster film, The Avengers. Keep it locked on IGN later next week to see the winner as voted on by you. While you're waiting, let us know what you think about this feature by leaving a comment below and by giving us a thumbs up or thumbs down on this video. Until we see who the winner is, I'm Destin Legary for IGN, and that was Versus.